Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We are pushing to 6,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. And thank you for all the support. Today, I have my brother from More Heat, Please. Now, before we begin, please let the people know where can they find you on YouTube and just the type of content that you do and anywhere else where you have, social media and stuff like that.
All right, so I'm pretty much on all platforms. I got a Threads, I got a Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I've been on for a while. I'm starting the hot. Basically, I do highlights, shorts version because everybody's doing long form. So it's like, all right, somebody's got to do the shorts. So I'm trying to get out some more short content that are highlight based for the different players. But that's mainly going to be my content. I'm going to be doing the recaps for the game. Not everybody can watch the games. I mean, realistically, most people are not going to pay FanDuel the $20 a month to watch the game. I can't believe that we switched from Sun Sports to FanDuel. I was like,
Yes. So, guys, make sure that you guys go to his YouTube channel, More Heat, Please. Make sure that you guys go there, hit that subscribe button, and make sure that you guys go over there and show him some support. So, before we begin, let's get right to it with Jimmy Butler. Where do you stand with Jimmy Butler, Pat Riley, with everything going down, with him being under contract and he wants the contract extension right now? There's a lot of different things going back and forth. He could be upset about Pat Riley telling him to shut his mouth. He's being suspended. So where's your standpoint? Who's wrong? Who's right with this whole Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat situation?
I think the Jimmy Butler situation is tough for the fans because you either have to be neutral. If you take the side of the franchise, people understand it because you're a Heat fan. If you take Jimmy's side, it's like, okay, are you a Jimmy Butler fan? I mean, we all like Jimmy Butler. We all wanted to work out with Jimmy Butler. The problem with Jimmy Butler is the fact that he came out and said that he lost his joy playing here and he doesn't think he can get it back. So he's kind of told you that there's no way in hell he's going to go back to the Jimmy of old, even if it's just regular season Jimmy of like literally just, being available for us and maybe not giving us the playoff Jimmy performance, but at least being there and putting some fear in some teams because he's on the team. I don't think we're getting that Jimmy Butler back. And I mean, you had legends like Tim Hardaway talk about it on Draymond Green's podcast, where he's saying that yes, he should get his money. I don't think anybody disagrees that Jimmy should get paid. But when you get denied the contract extension, you would like to think that he would still play it out and then he would just get extended after the season, because the thing with Jimmy Butler is everybody loves Jimmy Butler, right? But I'll say there's us Heat fans, we like to complain. The main thing with Jimmy Butler is the regular season games that he doesn't play. A lot of people are just like, hey, he's not here for a good amount of the regular season game. Then he expects to come in during the playoffs to turn up. So you can understand why the extension wasn't given to him, but at the same time, it's kind of weird to see him be in this position of I don't want to play here. I want to play with Phoenix, and hearing stuff like, "Oh, I would rather play behind the guys in Phoenix versus Bam and Tyler," which I get it. Kevin Durant and Tyler's mentor, basically Devin Booker. They're much better players, but at the same time, the Phoenix team really isn't that good. But I can see what he's, if you want to take a back seat. I guess he felt like the Miami Heat was kind of, letting them take a back seat during the regular season to Tyler and Bam. But to me, it just kind of looked like he just got out the way and stood in the corner and just kind of like he wasn't happy about standing in the corner. And I'm just kind of like, you're the guy. You're getting paid. You're the guy. Like, do your thing. Stay healthy. Do your thing.
Well, my biggest thing is, listen, I think no Miami Heat fan, including Pat Riley, we don't want Jimmy Butler to play 82 games. Nobody does. But of course, I know a lot of people will say, oh, but Jimmy Butler was maybe all NBA. I think he was all NBA either 2 or 3 out of the season since he's been here. Right. My biggest thing is that you're under contract, making $48.8 million, $500,000 a game. And then you come up on the podium and say that you have no joy. Now, the reason why the Miami Heat have shifted the offense, which Eric Spoelstra, I kind of have to blame him for that because he's playing this 5-out offense. But when you look at the roster, we don't have 5 offense type of guys. Our best 2 players, Bam and Jimmy, cannot shoot threes at an elite level. So when you have the Boston Celtics and you have all these other teams that can do the 5-out offense where they can at least shoot the 3, everyone in that whole starting lineup can shoot the 3 at a decent level. The Miami Heat cannot. We don't have the defenders, and we do not have a 5-out offense, or at least the players to facilitate a 5-out offense. So when it comes down to Jimmy Butler, I just don't understand. Maybe it was the disrespect thing. I don't know, because to be honest, ever since he said he's had no joy, everything else is speculation. We've never heard anything directly out of his mouth. Now, the whole Phoenix thing, I think that's real because everyone is reporting that, of course. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Especially
just
fans.
think, like, why do you think he's upset? Because he could say that, oh, well, the offense changed. They had to shift the offense. Because think about how many games he's already missed before we got to this point for this season. I think he's already missed like 10, 12 games before the suspensions. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And yes, Jimmy Butler, he does carry us through the playoffs. And I will say it's somewhat not fair for us to put all the blame on Jimmy Butler during the regular season. But when you're the max guy, you have to take that blame sometimes.
Facts. Yeah, you're getting the money. You're getting 50 million a year. So, you're right. The team is constructed kind of weird, and I think a part of the problem as to why Jimmy Butler is not happy with the situation is, just as Heat fans, if you think back, whether you're talking to your fellow Heat fans in the various groups or just in real life, every summer, what was it? Pat Riley was going to get a whale, right? And he's never gotten that whale. Now, I don't know if it's Pat Riley's fault because when it comes to trades, you kind of want to come out on top, and you know how Pat Riley is, so. Whether it's missing out on Dame or it's missing out on, Donovan Mitchell, a lot of it is just like you have to compromise. And Pat Riley is pretty stubborn. So I don't know if somebody got to Jimmy and said, look, man, you've taken the Miami Heat to 2 finals and you just didn't have the players around you. I mean, unfortunately, the first time versus the Lakers, we had some injuries. We had Bam go out. We had Goran get hurt. That team, looked great in the bubble, but, you are still going against one of the greatest players ever in LeBron. You had Rondo on that team. If I'm not mistaken, was Dwight on that team too? Like they had players on that team. So it wasn't even fully healthy. It wasn't guaranteed. So the way he probably looks at it is, man, I can't believe they haven't gotten another max player to play with me, which is crazy because I've always said this about the Miami Heat. I know Pat Riley likes Bam and Tyler, but when you look at Bam and Tyler's age, it doesn't line up with Jimmy Butler's age. Jimmy Butler is 35, Bam's 27, Tyler's like 25. So they're in their mid 20s pretty much, and he's like, getting out of his prime. So he really doesn't really, fit with this team. So now it's like, the Heat at some point are going to have to figure out what direction they're going to move in long term. I'm hearing the 2026 free agency period, they might target somebody like Luka, Giannis, but what are you going to do with Tyler and Bam? Are they going to be the second and third fiddle to that superstar that you're looking to get in 2026? Because this Jimmy Butler thing is going to be over before you know it. Whether he opts in and gets traded or if he gets traded before the deadline, it'll be over. So what's the next move?
That's the problem. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, 2020, 2026. But the biggest thing about the Miami Heat, they didn't need a star necessarily. They just needed better high-level role players. If you look at the big three, they always had high-level role players after they lost to Dallas. They brought in guys like Mike Miller, Rashad Lewis, Birdman Anderson, Ray Allen, and the list goes on. Shane Battier. Those are high-level role players. I just think that the Miami Heat throughout these past few seasons, they've went a little bit too far with the whole undrafted stuff. Have we seen success? Yes. Did we overachieve? Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you see that we're getting to the promised land, but we can't win, we can't get over the hump, to me, I just think that we needed better high-level role players. The fact that Khalil Ware is finally like a legitimate, decent size, and even still, we can't put all this pressure on a rookie, on a 20-year-old rookie. You know what I mean?
Too much.
Guys like Kelly Olynyk, outside of Kelly Olynyk, he was probably our decent big. You know what I mean? Because all the other bigs after that, Thomas Bryant didn't work. We had a list of other bigs that
I remember Deadman.
Dwayne Deadman. So that when Bam goes to the seat, we're cooked. We're cooked out there. Yeah. We've had Haywood Highsmith like at the 4, Caleb Martin at the 4. That's bad roster construction.
No, yeah, it is a really bad roster construction, man. I mean, when you think about even when PJ Tucker left and then, Highsmith's supposed to take over the PJ Tucker role, I think the thing that Eric Spoelstra is starting to see is that the small ball thing is, I'm not saying it won't work in some games. Obviously, it depends on who you're playing, but you're starting to see a lot of these teams are getting taller and taller. We've just played the Magic, and the Magic, it just seemed like they're drafting people that are over 6'7". The rookie, Silva, had like 5 threes. He looked like a 6'8" Hispanic Matt Barnes. Like he just, what I'm saying? Like they're getting bigger and bigger. And so, it was nice to see, Nikola, Bam, and Weir out there at the same time because, the small ball stuff is, I get it, between us and teams like Golden State, we used to run the small ball a lot, but I think that has to go, and we have to get some shooters, man. I'm looking at the numbers, man, and and I look at players like Nikola, man. he's going to have to become a sniper from three. Like every time I watch the Miami Heat, I sit down and I watch Terry Rozier take his time and brick 3-pointers. Like there's just so many players on this team that can't shoot open threes, and that is going to be a big deterrent for us not being in the playing position because, obviously, like you said, we're missing the max player in Jimmy Butler. They're saying he might be suspended for the whole season or he might get traded. So either way, it's like now you got to rely on what you got. Terry Rozier has been a disappointment so far. So you traded for Terry Rozier, and at the time people were just like, well, Terry Rozier used to kill us, but me and my cousin, we always say this. When there's somebody who's a heat killer, whenever they come on Miami, they're just not the same. You get Malik Monk, because Malik Monk kills us every time he plays us. I don't know if he just gets in a group chat with Bam and Tyler and just talks crap before the game, but every time we play Malik Monk, he dropped 20+ points. Like maybe he'll have an off game every now and then, but he's usually killing us. I promise you, we sign Malik Monk, he gonna turn into Terry Rozier. Like I don't understand it.
So why do you think Terry Rozier hasn't worked? Because to be honest, he was supposed to be that missing offensive piece for games like this. When you don't have Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler's injured, or if he needed rest, everyone at least thought, listen, we didn't want fat and sloppy, out of shape and overweight Kyle Lowry. Okay, cool. But at least now that we have Terry Rozier in, he was supposed to give us that offensive push, maybe 15 to 18 points a game. Now he looks like he forgot how to play basketball completely. So why do you think that Terry Rozier hasn't really worked on this Miami Heat team?
You know what I think it is? I talked to one of my OGs and he was like, yo, I really feel like Miami is not using Terry Rozier properly. But when you watch Terry Rozier play, a lot of his shots when they're in rhythm are usually off the dribble. He's missing some easy ones that, he'll try to take a dribble and get rhythm. But he's the type of player that he needs to have the ball in his hands a lot. And so that means you got to run Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson off screens. And then he's going to have to do the traditional point guard stuff. But he's really a scorer. It's just that in the Miami offense where you've got guys like Duncan and Tyler Robinson running through screens and stuff, he's not really – he'll get the opportunities to score, but it doesn't seem natural to him. And, as I look at his numbers, I can see why I feel like he misses threes constantly. Like his shooting percentage from three right now is 29%. That's crazy. The best person from three for the team is injured, and that's Drew Smith, who kind of grew on me a little bit, especially after he cut his hair. He was shooting 53% from three. And then next after that is Alec Burke at 42% and Kello Ware at 41%. The rookie is number 3 percentage-wise for threes. Like this team has a problem with threes. And the problem is they're open threes. They're not like contested threes. They're literally open threes. Like Nicola's at 37%, and a lot of his threes are open.
Now, what about Spo's rotation? Because I'm looking out there, Terry Rozier's terrible. Jaime, he looks terrible. And you have a guy like Burks. I think Burks has been solid for the Miami Heat. When have you honestly seen him miss a corner three? I think that he's been playing phenomenal. And then also, too, I think his defense is very underrated. And then also, too, Spo finally put Khalil Ware in that starting lineup. So what do you think about Spo's rotation? Because I see a lot of people on Heat Twitter, they've been cooking Spo about his rotations, not really making sense. Why on earth is Khalil Ware, Jovic, and Bam? They didn't have any run tonight versus the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And that was a big team that we were playing. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You saw those two big boys down there. What's his name? Mobley and the other
Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared Allen. They're too big. They're too big. I mean, Eric Spoelstra has what people call spotations. So, we sat down and we cried to finally have Khalil Ware play with Bam. And it was like he just didn't have a choice at this point. He just ran out of options. So he actually did it. But he's always going to play players, and you're going to say, why? When I was in Virginia during the Milwaukee game, I was traveling. So I ended up watching the game at the hotel, which they ended up switching off because we were getting beat up. I said to myself, why the hell are you starting Pell? Like, I know Pell had like a good fourth quarter, but that's not a reason to start Pell. Like, why are you starting Pell, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro? My cousin was flabbergasted. He was like, Pell is starting. I'm like, why is he starting? He had a good fourth quarter, but that doesn't mean you start him. You give him more minutes, but you don't start Pell. I mean, even, Highsmith, he's like the mini PJ Tucker. Remember, like, I don't know if you ever talked to E-fans about PJ Tucker, and you have people say, oh, he's not that great offensively. And you're just like, he does like non-box score stuff.
Yes.
Like he might push somebody in the back or something and, get away with it. He might, he's tough, I would rather him start over Pell. I was like, don't ever do that again. And see, he went away from starting Pell. Like, I was like, why would you start Pell versus the Bucks? Like, what was so Spotations have always been a problem with Spo. Like, I always joke with other Heat fans and I'll say, Spo is the type of coach where, like, even when LeBron was on the team, LeBron would score like 10 in a row. And it's almost like Earl Spo's like, all right, cool. You just come and cool down right next to me. Like, for what reason? Like, like leave him in there. Let him stay. Let him be hot. Like, he's the type of coach that sometimes will pull players before they need to be pulled. And his rotations to a lot of people never made sense. And if you look at it too, I think that's part of the reason why they call the third quarter, because a lot of our games, right, we always get our butts kicked in the third quarter. We could be leading, go in the third quarter, and then it's like whatever rotation Spo decides to choose in that third quarter, it just backfires. And it's been like that for damn near a decade plus now. It's like, it's crazy.
Which is a shame, because a lot of people, they have Spo as pretty much the best coach in the
Top
best
three.
coach in the NBA. But the offense has been terrible for probably like the last 3 years. It's been horrendous, and there's no excuse for it, especially when it's year after year after year. But there's a list of teams with the Golden State Warriors, possibly the Memphis Grizzlies. You have the Rockets, and there's a bunch of other teams, the Milwaukee Bucks, that want Jimmy Butler. So what's your realistic outcome with where do you think that Jimmy Butler will land?
I think if the Heat stop caring about where he wants to go, we know he wants to go to Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
But what it seems like is Memphis wants him, because
Very
that
bad.
would be the only reason why Jimmy would say, don't send me to Memphis. Imagine you're being traded. You tell your team you want to go to the Phoenix Suns. And then your agent's telling you, hey, look here, Memphis wants you. You get to play with Ja Morant and Triple J, which honestly, if you look at Triple J and Ja Morant, I would take those two over Bam and Tyler Herro. No disrespect to our guys. Triple J is averaging like 24 points this season.
Plus Bane.
And yeah, and then also I forgot about Bane. Desmond. So there you go. So yeah, they I mean, I don't know what's his issue with Memphis. Maybe he just prefers Phoenix. I heard Memphis was looking at it like, okay, cool. We will trade for you. You don't have to re-sign with us, right? Because obviously you can opt in. But I guess he looks at it like, damn, I don't want to be in Memphis because maybe he don't like the city. Maybe he's just stuck on, being with Phoenix. But I think that if Miami were to get, I think they probably don't want to trade him there because that he don't want to go there. As much as they're upset with him, maybe they kind of have some respect for him in that regards, in terms of maybe it would look bad on them if they traded him to Memphis. But if it was up to me, right, you take all feelings out of it, you trade him to Memphis, and you take GG Jackson, or because they got a couple young players that they would want to give us, like a Brandon Clark, right? And maybe you take Luke Kennard and some picks. The contracts aren't big, and then I think like Brandon's contract's like 3 years, 12 million or something like that. So they're small contracts. But yeah, you'd probably have to get rid of like Alec Burks, because I looked at one of the trade packages that they have for Jimmy from Memphis. But yeah, I mean, you would just send him there despite the fact that he doesn't want to go there, because what is Phoenix going to give you if nobody wants Bradley Beal?
And that's the biggest thing. I feel like all this Phoenix stuff, but it's weird to me because Jimmy Butler says he wants to go to Phoenix. Cool. How come him and his agent didn't think that? Well, first of all, Bradley Beal has to agree to leave. He has to agree to waive the no trade clause. If he doesn't waive it, then guess what? He's not going anywhere. Now, there's a bunch of reports. 1 minute, like he does want to go. 1 minute he doesn't. Now they're saying that, he only wants to go to a contender. Who knows? I just think that he doesn't want to go to Memphis. Why? Because it's Memphis. It's a small market team. Think about it. You're going from Miami, where you're opening up coffee shops. You got the Latino women, and then all of a sudden now you just drop dead in Memphis. No one is running to Memphis. Memphis is homegrown through the draft. And to be honest, they've done a very good job. So to be honest, I think that's why he doesn't want to go to Memphis. I know Memphis, it's been reported, they will take him with open arms because that's the guy they're missing. That's that veteran.
That he would fit perfect.
That he's that veteran piece, proven playoff performer. They could definitely use him. It's just that it's really up in the air. And then there's so many other different variations of this trade. There's Zach LaVine, like I said, him going to the Bucks. Now, before we close, what do you think just about Tyler Herro this season? Is he playing like an all-star? Do you think he should be an all-star? Listen, I think Tyler Herro and Bam, they're two good pieces. But we will not win anything without a superstar. And I said this off camera to you earlier. What the Miami Heat are doing, no other team in the NBA could survive either. If you take Giannis off the Bucks, if you take Luka off the Mavs, any superstar, if their superstar just poofed off their team, You can't win anything. Tyler Herro is not that good. He's not a 1A, and Bam is not a 1A to take you over the top, especially with this poorly constructed roster.
Yeah, that's true. I do think Tyler Herro should be the reserves. And the reason why I would say that, right, is because the guys that they're putting over him, right, like Garland would be somebody you would want on the reserves because the Cavaliers are good. His numbers aren't better than Tyler Herro's numbers. He's averaging like 21 points per game. Maxi's team is worse than Tyler Herro. He's another guy that people wanted to be an all-star. Despite the fact that we're, I think we're not at 500. A lot of the other guards, there's just not too many guards that have like good, like I guess maybe another bad team that I would probably consider, like in terms of, because they're gonna do the reserves tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if Cade makes it just off his performance, right? Like he's putting a triple doubles. Tyler Herro though, I think he could be on the reserves. When I was watching TNT, I think 2 out of the 3 had him on there. If he doesn't make it, I understand it, because at the end of the day, the Heat they aren't in a good position, right? You're 7th, 8th seed. That's fine. But if somebody like Tyrese Maxey makes it over Tyler Herro, I'd be a little bit confused, because the Sixers are in terrible shape. But he has a shot to make it. But yeah, he's definitely not your option one. He's come a long way from being a screen merchant. Like, people would call him the screen merchant, and that was true. It was literally like with Duncan Robinson, you would just hand him the ball off of a BAM screen, and he would shoot off the screen. Now he's creating his own shots a little bit more. I think the Orlando game is a good game that will really showcase his skills. Prior to that, we had a couple losses where he scored 30 points. Kind of why sometimes, I'm like, as much as I don't see Tyler Herro as like a number one option, I do kind of give him love, though, because he's definitely evolving as a player compared to where he was a couple years ago, where it's like, we know Tyler Herro is not a good defender, but he's trying. He's trying. He got a block versus the Magic, but we just know he's going to get cooked on defense. But he's cooking on offense, though. So I'm trying to give him some love, man, and kind of expose his game a little bit, especially this new game where it's like he is, you know what it is? The lob threat is really opening things up for him. Whenever he drives, they're scared that he's going to lob it to Bam or Weir. And so you'll see as he drives, he'll fake sometimes, and the big will just freeze. And so he's doing a really good job of finishing and just remaining tough, because he's literally only missed 1 game this season. So I'm so proud of him for being healthy, because that's the problem we've had with Tyler Herro too. Remember, he was missing during the Celtics series because he had broke his hand versus the Bucks playing defense, ironically, which is crazy. But he was definitely missed. There was a shot I remember Duncan Robinson missed versus the Celtics, and I was like, Tyler would hit that, because he just wants it. He wants it more. Like, he just wants all the glory. He's that type of player. But unfortunately, he's not, Devin Booker. So you can't really have him be like your solid second option. I mean, it's not impossible, but at the end of the day, you saw how it played out. He was never healthy. And then when he was healthy, it was just like, oh, Jimmy's now hurt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, man. We got to see what we do in the future. Like I said, they're talking about 2026, which is kind of sad, because then it's like, okay, so you get past this Jimmy Butler thing, right? You have to deal with this summer post Jimmy Butler life. Does this mean that next season is a wash if you're only focused on 2026, to get a big, free agent? Because if you make it to the playoffs, your pick is gone. I think OKC has our pick. By the way, OKC is one of the best teams in terms of, the amount of assets they have acquired and the amount of talent they have acquired through the draft. They're doing what we have not been doing. We're taking G League players. We're taking, players that are, like I said, the Drew Smith, probably the next future Laker point guard, because, they keep taking our point guards and it doesn't work out for them. They're not going to learn. So we're almost operating like a baseball team, with the minor leagues guys. You taking them up from the minor leagues, and then you kind of homegrown that way. But it's like, you take players from the G League. A lot of these guys, like, I watched the summer league team, and I was thinking to myself, like, but Johnson. I forget what his first name is.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Keyshawn Johnson. There we go. Like, I watched summer league game, and I'm looking at some of these players, even like Josh Christopher, and I'm just kind of like, yo, it's okay that we're taking them from the G League, but it's going to be hard to compete like that. You can't keep taking guys from the G League and then just hoping that you get a Jimmy Butler type star. Well, if you're aiming for Luka or Giannis, I mean, those are obviously significant upgrades over Jimmy Butler. But at the same time, though, you can't do what we just did with Jimmy Butler, where you only give him those guys with Tyler Herro and Bam. Granted that Tyler Herro and Bam will be a little bit more experienced. Miami's got to make some moves at some point.
Speaking of making moves, yesterday it was reported by Shams that De'Aaron Fox wants to pretty much leave the
That's the
Kings.
guy.
Real quick, what do you think about the possibility of De'Aaron Fox on the Miami Heat?
That's a good fit. I'm not saying that that's like for instance, you get De'Aaron Fox and you pair him with Bam and Tyler Hero, right? You get the ball out of Tyler Hero's hand, which is great because you're still going to have Tyler Hero, dominating the ball when De'Aaron Fox is resting, and let's just say they're on the court at a different time. But you now get a true point guard, a point guard that can occasionally rebound because sometimes we have issues with rebounding. Those long rebounds, they get away from us. So it's nice to get a guard like De'Aaron Fox who can score very fast. Obviously has a relationship with Bam, the Kentucky connection. Probably has a relationship with Tyler too. So, that would be a good piece to build around. Um, I'm not too attached to anybody else that's still currently on the roster. So if somebody got traded or, if we made a sign-in that would help, build around De'Aaron Fox, that would be great. Or even if you got a player that was better than De'Aaron Fox in 2026, but De'Aaron Fox was like a part of your future, I would love that. I don't know if Jimmy Butler would like going to Sacramento. What do you say? Any team but Memphis. So, hey, if you go to Sacramento, right, because I'm obviously I don't know how that would work. I don't know if it would be like a multi-team trade if you got De'Aaron Fox. I haven't looked at the Fox trade ideas, but we got a player that wants to go, and he said any team but Memphis. We've been hearing the rumors that De'Aaron Fox wants to be traded. I'm pretty sure he would love it here, man. Honestly, this is gonna sound crazy because this is probably a long way away, right? The player that would in the future that I would want for the Heat to get eventually, which, like I said, would be seasons away, Anthony Edwards. That's a Heat type of guy, but it's so far away though, because he's still young. But we need a player like that, who has superstar potential. I don't really see that in Tyler and Bam. De'Aaron Fox will be a good point guard for us when you think about it. Who are the best point guards for the Miami Heat historically? I don't think any of them are better than De'Aaron Fox. Like, respectfully, think about it. Goran, Tim Hardaway, Gary
Yeah,
Payton, White,
you're
like
right.
nobody, you know what I'm saying? We've always never had like a really good point guard. And I don't know how the hell we let Drew Holiday escape from us, because that would be the perfect Eric Spoelstra type point guard. Tough, can shoot the three. There you go. But, I don't know, man. We're going to see how, what happens with the Miami Heat over the next few weeks. I just feel like nothing's going to happen during the trade deadline, which is the worst feeling ever, where it's like, okay, we need to make a move. Everybody's saying get Jimmy Butler off the team, and then he just doesn't go anywhere. Like, every time I get hyped for the trade deadline, nothing ever happens. I'm not expecting anything.
Don't be surprised if he's not traded. I really wouldn't be surprised. But once again, thank you for coming on the show. Please let the people know where they can find you on YouTube.
All right, guys. So, yep, more Heat, please, on all platforms. So again, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just the way you see it in the on my screen, the picture here. Search it that way. You'll find the channel. You'll find me on the other platforms too.
Guys, make sure that you guys head over to his platforms, like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you guys show one of our fellow Heat fans all the support. We're pushing to 6,000 subscribers, and thank you guys for all the support.